Good afternoon, women of the future. I am Dr. Ann Stilton. It is a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to you on such a wonderful occasion as your graduation. Today, I have chosen a topic which I believe to be the key to your future and happiness. The topic I have chosen is the sex life of a strong and successful woman. You may ask why I have chosen such a topic. Well, I speak to you from personal experience. As a successful woman of the 21st century, I know all too well the importance of compartmentalizing my sex life. In the professional world today, where women make up nearly half the workforce, we women are still often referred to as the weaker sex, emotionally insecure and oversensitive. If we are to forge new paths into the future, to go where no man has gone before, we need to leave this kind of archaic thinking and unproductive labeling behind us. Let's take a peek into the past, before the sexual revolution. What was it like to be a woman at that time? A time when family and community ideals were imposed on a woman, and sex was associated with shame. Women were expected to put sex on hold until the marriage contract was signed, binding these women in a virtual prison for a life-term sentence. The so-called traditional view of sex is that it was reserved for marriage only. Ideally, a man and a woman would take long walks, getting to know each other on an intellectual and a spiritual level. Their love and their care for one another would grow until the point at which they decided they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together. This process is long and tedious and frankly unrealistic. So, the bold and emancipated women of the time decided we want what men have: sexual freedom, instant gratification of our sexual wants and desires. And with the introduction of the contraceptive, the sexual revolution allowed women to have sex whenever, wherever, with whomever. Why should we take time for love to grow when we can do away with such silly traditions and simply make love? This was a sexual revolution. However, the sexual revolution is not without its problems. As a result, we have ended up with far too many weak and desperate women who are perpetuating the negative stereotypes we have been working so hard to defeat. Take Mary Ann, for example. When Mary Ann first started spending time with Robert, her emotions and her passion for him were raging. They ended up in bed together on the second meeting. But they had made no promises to one another. 2 weeks later, when Mary Ann ran into Robert holding hands with another woman, she was hysterical. She began to make presumptuous accusations that he was betraying her, which was terribly embarrassing for Robert in front of his new love interest. After all, he had made no promises and had no obligations towards Mary Ann. Joyce was in a relationship with Philip for over 3 years. After the second year, they moved in together. They discussed the possibility of marriage, but they decided to see how it goes. After 2 years, Philip realized he could not live with Joyce's odd morning rituals, and so he moved out. After all, isn't that what they had agreed upon, that they would try it out and see how it works? So why was Joyce a basket case for 3 months? Why did she leave him voice messages and send him texts 15 times a day saying, "Baby, baby, oh, I want you back, baby"? There are far too many Joyces and Mariannes out there today. Why is it that women end up feeling hurt, devastated, betrayed, when no commitment was made? This sort of tacky resentment we often see expressed in needy and desperate women shows that they must have had unwarranted expectations at the outset of the relationship, and that they had allowed their hearts to get involved. Now, I will give you this. Even philosopher Russell Vanoy admits in his book, Sex Without Love, that lovemaking is an innately emotional experience. Now, the problem with this is that when we allow our emotions to get involved, the act of making love creates a sort of bond, or a glue within the hearts of the 2 people concerned. Naturally, when this sexual connection is dismissed, one is left feeling torn. So what is the answer to this? Some tear-proof mascara? Or a good antidepressant? It would be unfair for me to merely present the problems without providing some answers. So, I would like to present you an alternative solution to this ongoing problem in our society today. I mentioned earlier that I speak to you from personal experience. So, I would like to share with you the secret of my success. After naively doling my heart out as a young woman and allowing men to distract me from my goals, I realized if I was to be successful, I needed to disengage. Maintaining a safe distance from your feelings can be immensely liberating, but how do you do it? Well, in a simple do-it-yourself procedure, you may remove your heart and place it in a safe place to keep from getting emotionally involved during the sexual act. You will need rubber gloves, several of your basic scalpels, rubbing alcohol or similar disinfectant, a spreading clamp, and a saw. Now, I would like to remind you that you will need to cut an incision directly down the sternum. And do not forget that the heart is indeed on the left side. If you would like more information, there is a step-by-step guide in my book, which will be available in the lobby after the ceremony. I'm sorry, what? Oh, yes. Yes, why, of course, I have done this procedure myself, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about it. And I have indeed assisted hundreds of women in the same, excuse me? Yeah, wow! I'm so pleased to have such an active, responsive audience. This is indeed a very special occasion. You know what? I think I'm going to do something a little bit unusual. I've never actually done this before, but I am going to show you my heart. If you'll just give me a minute, I happen to have it with me. It's just over here. Yes, this is the perfect example of the sort of box you might like to use, and I suggest a good saline solution. Now, I haven't taken her out for some time, but I'm sure, yes, she looks to be doing just fine. Now, she is a little bit tender. Let's see, that's only natural. You would expect that. Right. Now there she is, my little thumper. As I was saying, she's with... was saying, you know what, I think I'm just going to put her back in the box and we'll...